Hello everybody, welcome to Pappy's Garage. Glad you could be with us today. Hope that you all enjoy what we have in store. Been in my office thinking about what to talk about today or what to do. Before I get into our project though, I'd like to talk to you about exceptional cars. There's been a lot of them over the years, but I think we can all agree that there are some cars that we all would agree are just plain exceptional. A few of them I could think of. One would be the Model T. Would you agree? Along with that, the GP, general purpose vehicle designed in World War II, turned into what we know today as the Wrangler. That would be an exceptional one. I think you'd all agree with that. And the Beetle, how about that one? That's what I would call the Model T successor. By all rights, an exceptional machine. Or the Miata, or the Tesla Model S. All of these, I think we'd agree, are very exceptional vehicles. And for most of us, car guys that is, people who really care about this kind of stuff, we'd take any one of them in a minute. But I'm not talking about exceptional cars like the Lamborghini Countach or the Acura NSX or even a McLaren F1. Now, of course, they're all exceptional in their own right. But what I'm talking about is not just what it did, like the Countach captured the hearts and minds of every young man with a pulse, or old man with a pulse for that matter, in the 80s. Or the NSX, that in a time of redefining performance and technology and combining that all together, that it reached the pinnacle first. Or the F1 that took the elements of racing and plowed them into a street car and made it reasonable for someone to possess at home. Now, those are exceptional cars. And those are exceptional reasons why they're exceptional cars. And that's what they did. They did those things. But what I'm talking about now, more importantly, isn't just what a vehicle did, but what it still do. And with that, let's go take a look at what I'm talking about. Yeah, out of all the vehicles that have ever existed, I think it's safe to say that it's my second favorite vehicle of all time. And for a lot of good reasons, I think, which I'll go through here with you. I'm going to take you outside and show you what I have. I've had quite a number of them over the years. I think somewhere around 8, I don't know, a whole lot of them. And now we've got some sunshine here that's going to be a problem for us, but I'll see if I can wander around and get you a good view of this puppy so you can see what it is. This is my 1988 Jeep Cherokee, and it is one of the most exceptional vehicles of all time. What this vehicle did for the world was introduce us to unibody off-road vehicles. All right, now I told you that that's my second favorite vehicle of all time, and I'll get into why it's exceptional and give you all of my reasons in a minute, and you can decide for yourself. I think you'll see after I go through a few details that it is quite an exceptional vehicle, and you'll agree with me. But anyhow, my first favorite vehicle of all time is this, the International Scout. It's just cool. A lot of people would tell you it's exceptional, but it isn't. Even though it has 44s front and back, has 300 transfer case in it, and V8, and blah, blah, blah. It's not really exceptional. It's just really, really cool. All right, enough of that really cool vehicle. Let's talk about how the Jeep made a difference in a market with some really cool vehicles already in existence. Basically, up until this point, you had two types of sport utility vehicles. You had a four-door station wagon on a truck frame, and you had a two-door station wagon on a truck frame. That would be the Jeep Wagoneer, Chevy Suburban, or the Ford Bronco
and the Chevy Blazer. Now, in 1983, General Motors came out with the S10 line. Although it was still a body on frame construction, the S10 was more like a car. It rode like a car, it had a suspension like a car.
So now enter the Jeep Cherokee, a new car for 1984. The unibody construction of the Jeep made it more comfortable. Four doors made it easy for children to get in and out of the back seat. And if you had to, you could cram 5 adults in there. Now, it wasn't ideal for this, but we're talking about a family vehicle. I only needed to get a couple, 3 children in the back seat, dog in the far back, and 2 adults in the front. This worked excellent for us for a bunch of years in the early 90s when we had small children. As they got bigger, it got less convenient, and we moved on to bigger and better vehicles. But for the starter vehicle with a new family, it was an excellent option. Beside that, there's quite a number of features about the automobile that make it really popular. And in my book, it was the security of the structure. One day I was driving down I-90 through Coeur d'Alene, and just about I get to Highway 41, I see out in the median on the right-hand side of the exit ramp, a Jeep Cherokee rolled over on its roof. It's telling you, laying square on its roof and not one busted window. I was completely amazed. I looked at that thing and I said, yep, this is a vehicle for me. Now, we wouldn't have any kind of fun if I didn't add some Korn to this here video. So I'm going to show you a brief clip from I think it's from the 80s, I'm not really sure, but it's a Volvo commercial. And speaking about strong roofs, it's kind of humorous. Check this out and I'll be back with you in a minute.
And because Volvos are built strong, they hold up. Of course, we can't guarantee how long. But we do know Volvos are built so well that in Sweden they last an average of 11 years. Now that's a hard sound.
Now, wasn't that a hoot? I think he had like 7 of those things stacked up there. But now I want to show you a picture of one of my Jeeps. We were out dirt roading one day and
Screwing around, of course. Anyhow, kind of lose it on a bend, and the Jeep takes off the road and hits an embankment and sends us ass over tin cups. The impact on that corner A-pillar took the full weight of the vehicle and rolled over onto its side. You can see by the pictures that it held up pretty good. I mean, it's definitely banged up, but no one was hurt. We just hooked the strap onto the vehicle there and pulled it over onto its feet. Once we got it back on its feet, I took the high lift, jimmied the driver's door open, put it in on the sill, and jacked the roof up back to about roughly where it used to be, and busted a big hole in the windshield so I can see where we're going, and we drove that thing an hour and a half back home.
probably what's most extraordinary about these Jeeps is how cheap they are. Not only are they cheap, they have high functionality, high utility, and they're very, very easy to modify. Like you see mine, didn't have that much money into it, although I did spend a little bit, still pretty cheap. You can lift these things for less than 500 bucks. Put 3 or 4 inches on there, add some tires, and off you go. You're four-wheeling. Take a look at these couple of videos. One's more or less a stock Jeep with oversized tires, and the other one's a heavily modified Jeep.
This one here has got some nice oversized tires, but basically a stock Jeep. It does quite well in this sandhill. This next one, mud hole, slightly more modified. Some really nice mud tires on it. Open differentials. Does quite well. Now this guy, check him out. Watch his tack. He gets this thing up to 6,500 RPMs by the time he runs through the trap. But the whole way down this line, he never goes below 4,500. Now, wasn't that a hoot? Man, I tell you, that guy with that dragster, man, what a what a ride. I can't believe what he makes that engine do. That tells you something about this vehicle and the engine in it. If you really want to check out some real horsepower with this thing, I think it's called Monster Horsepower. And check out the 4-liter stroker. Guy named, yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but anyhow, he's he's a motorhead, and he does some really incredible things with the 4-liter, stroking it and turbocharging and whatnot. Gets it up to like 1,000 horsepower. It's the most power ever made out of one of these Jeep engines. But anyhow, go check that out. I'm going to take you down the road and get you into my Jeep, what I've done so far, what plans we have for it in the future. It's we're going to hit on a few things. Some of it's long-term plans. More immediately is a 4.6 stroker, like I mentioned before. So we'll get into the recipe for that in our next video. But let me give you a tour of my Jeep and what I've done to it so far, and see how you like it. So let's start with the front end. On here, what I have is a Dana 30 high pinion WJ. WJs didn't have high pinion 30s, and you'd be right. What I did was I took a WJ, burned the differential housing off of it and saved the tubes, and took the front axle, the high pinion from this one, burned the tubes out of it, made a custom press in my shop, and pressed the two together to come up with this axle. What I really wanted was the larger brakes with the double piston Akebono calipers, coupled with the new power booster and master cylinder from the WJ upstairs. Makes for really good braking with these 32s. It was a nice upgrade. You can see there with my rough country long arm kit. I'm happy with that too. That's been a really good buy. Can't see spending the money for some of these bigger, fancier kits. It's worked out really well and held up good over the last 8 years. It's a nice kit. You can see I've got the right side off there, so it's more like a 3-link, but overall, very happy with it. It's a little bit here on the corners. You can see I've got some 4-inch rusty springs with some Bilstein 5100s. And a nice combination too. Got a good buy on them. Migrating to the back, I just have some Rancho RS, I don't know, 500,000s or whatever they are, painted orange. It's a Chrysler 8 1/4 open diff. My leaf pack there is off of a Dodge Dakota. Basically what you do is you keep the mainspring from the Jeep, get the rest of the pack from the Dakota, and voila, you have basically a 3.5-inch lift on the rear. Works out pretty good, rides pretty good. So I was happy with it overall. Still got the drum set up on the back. I'm considering a Ford 8.8 conversion for the back, but I don't know, this one works pretty good. Might just lunchbox it and call it a day. I think I said earlier that I got these wheels off of Craigslist, came with tires and everything, almost brand new, right off of a Wrangler. That spare still has the rubber tits on it. It hasn't been run at all. So yeah, it was a really good deal. So cruise Craigslist. To show you a close up here of the paint job I did was a bed liner. I got it from Midwest Chemicals. It was pretty cool. You just roll it on with a loop brush, or a loop roller I mean, and came out really nice. It's been 8 years now. It's quite faded. You can see some places here, like here on the door cylinder, you can see it's a little bit darker around there. So the color's faded quite a bit. There's really some high contrast there. What I'm thinking about doing probably later this summer, I'm in no real hurry, but probably do some Rust-Oleum enamel, just overspray it. I don't want to go through all the trouble of masking it off. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a future project. This is what it looked like when I first got it done. You can see I had different tires and wheels on it, and you can also see the original color. Another thing I want to do is build a rack for the roof. It definitely needs something up there, a place for my jack and other things when we go camping. And of course, my stroker. Now that's why I think the Jeep Cherokee is an extraordinary vehicle. Please comment below, tell us what you think, whether or not I'm full of it, or whether or not you think that the XJ is actually an exceptional vehicle. I think my reasons are pretty valid. You can see that these vehicles are popular for good reason. Thank you for watching. Please tune in next time where we talk about the recipe for our stroker. We're going to pull the 4-liter out of this Jeep and we're going to put in a 4.6. With that, thank you for watching. Come and join us again at Korn Garage. Have a great day. Talk to you again.